Hi everyone, thank you for making the time this morning. I am with Meg Oro in here, who is a part of Urban Linker, who we work for. Urban Linker, for those who doesn't know us, we are a recruitment agency that specializes in tech and digital profile. And Benedetta, who is here with us from Ponicode. Benedetta, do you want to introduce Ponicode very briefly to everyone?
Yes. So Ponicode is a startup that we founded in June 2019, so almost 2 years ago now. And Ponicode has the goal of becoming the coding buddy for all developers. So making tools to make the life of developers easy through artificial intelligence. And so we're based in Paris, and we started doing this by attacking the problem of unit test generation. And today we have a product that is in beta that everybody can test. And yeah, we're in like progress. We're building it. We're starting to have our first pilots, our first clients, our first we have lots of feedback. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Perfect. So just for those who missed the beginning of the webinar, we will be playing the replay. You will receive a link for the video, and we will of course share it on our social networks, and we will tag Ponicode as well. So don't worry if you miss, or if you have to pop out at some point. There will be the whole replay available for you. So I'm gonna just kind of disappear to share the light, to just pass the light on to Meg.
Okay, hello everybody. First question to you, Benedetta, before getting further. Can you tell us more about you and your background?
Yes, of course. So my background is actually not really technical. If you go back and look at what I studied in high school, where I projected myself back then, I didn't think at all that I would end up in this position. I was more focused towards humanities. I wanted to study politics and become a diplomat, so very, very far from what I did. And so I made some choices for my university decisions based on this. So I studied politics, international relations and Chinese. But I realized quite early on, as I was studying this, that there was something that didn't really fit with me. And for as much as I found it really interesting, and I still do, I couldn't project myself at doing that as a job, because I found it quite stressful. And the thing that I found stressful was that in politics, there is no right or wrong. There is no real right answer. And it's just really about how well you argument your point, how strongly you debate. And yeah, this for me was really stressful to do day to day. And I had taken a small course in programming when I was in high school, and it'd been the class I'd loved most in my whole school career. And it always nagged me, maybe you should try that. And so I decided, you know what, I'll try, because if there's anything where true means true and false means false, is programming. So I decided to start doing that by myself after university. And by a series of lucky coincidences, I found myself in Paris, where I basically found out that there was a school, a free school called 42, you probably know about it, that was targeted at learning to code without prerequisites, with a mix of people that came from lots of different backgrounds like me. And so I said, well, I'll try for a month, and probably I won't do it, because I really didn't want to go into education. I was kind of done with studying, but I tried. I did the introduction, the selection process that lasts a month, and fell in love and said, this is where this relaxes me. For as intense that it was, it really relaxed me. And so I really enjoyed it. And so from there, I did a couple of internships in the tech industry, a couple of them in London. And then just as I was ready to finish the school, I was introduced to the people that I then founded Ponicode with. And so here I am today. I've just decided to stay in Paris after the school, and found my first company.
Nice one. And was being an entrepreneur one of your goals, or did you come later? How did it come?
Well, I wouldn't say no. It definitely is something that was in my mind, but I don't think I would ever have expected for it to happen so soon. I didn't really plan for it to. It wasn't, the first thing that I wanted to do after finishing my studies. It's the way it came about is by opportunity. Really, I feel like I met the right people, and even more than the people, like I met an idea that I felt I could embrace, and it was at a point where it was convincing me so much that even though I did have other plans, in my head I always wanted to gain like a lot more experience first by just working as a software developer I always knew I wanted to try a startup and a larger company to see the differences, but when this opportunity came, it just seemed too silly to refuse it, because it doesn't happen often. The idea was great, the setting, it was a time in my life where I could make these decisions, so I just embraced it. Yeah, it's a bit sooner than what I would probably have planned, but it's fantastic. I wouldn't go back at all.
Yes, and like you said, you meet the founder of Ponicode and the co-founders of Ponicode just right after 42. And how did Ponicode start? How did you meet your co-founders? How things get started?
Well, word of mouth, really. I was still in school actually, and I received an email from another student from 42 who, like an alumni, he had worked with the current CEO of Ponicode, Patrick Joubert, because Patrick Joubert has founded two other startups that then grew and were successfully sold, and he was one of the team members of the latter one that is called Recast AI.
Yeah.
And he contacted me saying, I would like to introduce somebody to you because, like he knew the kind of projects I was doing. He had an idea of my background. And so we just organized a beer, really. And then it took, quite a few months of discussing, like seeing, at the beginning, quite frankly, I went just to see who are these people, like what is going on. And when I heard the idea, I was a bit like, this is crazy, like what, we're just meeting and you're telling me about this this vision that you have that is not just a small garage project, it's quite big. And so I was a bit taken aback, and immediately I was like, I don't think so, but let's keep talking because you're a very interesting person. I really enjoy talking to you, but I'm not 100% in. And then over a few months we kept talking. This is like my encounter with Patrick, and then over a few months we had to look for other people that could be interested in the project and that could make it work, because we couldn't start just it's not just a couple of people, you need to find the right ones. And so that is how I met Simon and Edmund. Edmund was known by Patrick because, through some other connections of his first company, and Simon was friends with and studied with some people that had built Recast with Patrick. So all through kind of like schools and companies and stuff, and it took a lot. So we met many times to figure out, could we work together, because we're very different and all of us have very different backgrounds. And in the end, we set a date. We just said, okay, we're starting on, I think, the 10th of June. Right, we're meeting up and doing this. So.
Yeah, nice. What a story for. And like now you both co-founder of Ponicode and a software engineer. How do you keep up with both the roles of founder and software engineer? How it works?
So I'd say that. So at the beginning, I was really, I think saying co-founder is true. There was a phase where it was just us, it was us four, always there, having to lay the foundations, bootstrapping the product completely, make some really, really like important choices that everything later would be founded on. And so that was a moment where the role of co-founder prevailed, and the fact that I was a software engineer just like helped define what tasks I would be doing on the moment to make it sure that we could have, you know, an MVP faster. And this was, yeah, in the whole like MVP construction phase when it was only 4 of us. And then when we started hiring and when we started getting a size of like 10, now today we're 20, it's the role of co-founder, I think, changed a little bit, because I don't feel like I'm as different from the other people in my team. We're co-building this thing for me. I don't feel like my ideas today are worth more than the ones that other people in the team, in the tech team, because that's the team I work with the most, but in the product team as well. I don't think my ideas are stronger because I am a co-founder. It's just a matter that maybe, you know, I speak louder sometimes because I care very much, because I see that Ponicode is my baby, and so I'm very, very passionate about my opinion sometimes. But really, I don't think that now I have a different kind of agency on what we're doing. I like to think this, and I think we really, really try and empower people that join Ponicode to think that they are co-builders of this thing with us. I think it is a challenge sometimes, because just like I said, sometimes when a new person joins the team, they see how much Simon, Edmund, and I like, and Patrick, of course, like argue over things, and they feel like, oh, it's a bit intimidating. And yes, there is a difference between the co-founders and the rest of the team, but we really try to break this down. It's just because we've worked on it too long.
You're really passionate about it. It's your baby.
Yeah. It's just that, but I like to think that there isn't that much difference. You know, I'm a software developer today, I build a product, and I could build it with everybody.
Yeah. And what are the challenges brought by this double role? What are the pegs, the upside of it? Like you say, people seems to think you more invest in, but you want to that everybody seems as much invested by you. What are the challenges about that double role and yeah, the upside of it?
I think, like I said, it's just that sometimes perhaps people are a bit worried about challenging me like they would challenge somebody else. And it's a shame, because for me, by challenge you grow. And I don't think at all that at all moments I know what is, you know, I know for certain what the best path is. And I think being challenged is really important. So yeah, I think this is kind of the, I don't want to call it a downside, because it's great. Like, it's a great position to be in. But for me, as someone that cares about Ponicode, it's important to make everybody that works there feel like their opinion matters as much as everyone else. As long as our goals, as long as they understand why we are building Ponicode, and as long as we are aligned on our motivations, our vision, then we're all going towards the same direction. So.
And so thank you for all this answer. But any pieces of advice for someone who wants to follow your path, who want to innovate and become have his own other projects?
Piece of advice. Advice is always difficult. Like I said, I'm here a little bit by chance, and so the first thing for me is say yes to opportunities. You know, what you do is a matter of choice, like the choices you made when you decide to study what to interest yourself in. But it's also so much about opportunities, about meeting people. Sometimes you meet the right people that you click with, and you feel like actually something really good can come of this. You need to feel it in your gut, though. Like, you can't. Yeah, it's not something that you can necessarily, I believe, like just plan out by yourself. But yeah, so say yes to opportunities, meet people, talk about the topics that interest you, and yeah, take up a challenge.
Yeah, so be passionate, see the opportunity, and meet the right people. Yeah.
Yeah, easy to say, but yeah.
Yeah, and for you, like there's a very few women in leading position in the tech industry. That's something that's we try to it's become to be more and more women, but right now there is really few women in the leading position in tech industry. What's your experience with it? Like, what is your mind about it?
I'm still, I guess, confused about this topic, because for me, like 2 years ago, I was seeing these, these women hailed as like women in tech. Like, there's so few of them. It's fantastic. They're so strong. And now I find myself as being referred as one of those, and I don't feel special at all. I feel like what I did is very organic in what I felt like I liked to do, what interests me, what I just felt like it. So it's very strange for me to be invested with this role of special creature, and it's absolutely true that it is, diversity is a challenge. I personally wish that, in the tech team, even at Ponicode, we don't have women, and I really wish there was more diversity. But I think change is gradual, and I just hope I do hope that by normalizing more and more the fact that there are women in tech, in like a higher position in tech, even like more and more girls will feel like, yeah, it's absolutely fine to go and decide to study computer science, which is probably something that I wouldn't have chosen. Maybe there was a bit of, I didn't feel like it was a women thing, and then it just came with age that I realized actually that is what I like, so I'm going to do what I like. But it did cost me a few years of education. I started doing this. I started being a software developer a bit like later than I could have otherwise. So yeah, I don't know how I feel, but I'm very happy to be here, and I hope that somebody will be inspired.
Yeah, I hope so. You're inspiring people. You're an inspiring people. So I hope your path and your way will be an example for women, and you're inspiring and be inspiring. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's true. No, we talk about you and your parkour and being a founder and a software developer. We may be more talking about the technical product and the technical ideas behind Ponicode. So one of the aims of Ponicode is to accelerate software engineering. How do you aim to do that?
So we aim at accelerating software engineering. It's one of our goals, and the reason we think that we can do that and we want to do that is by helping with one of the bigger issues that the software industry faces today, which is code quality. So code quality is a very expensive subject. So apparently bad code costs $85 billion a year. Overall for the industry, and the reason of this cost is, it becomes more understandable when we break it down. It's the cost of like dissatisfaction by users when they find a bug in a product and they decide to leave it, and in the cost of spent by developers in fixing problems, refactoring code, understanding what was written 3 years ago. It takes a lot of time. Developers' time is expensive. We all know that. So it's a massive cost. And I think everybody that has worked in a company, a software company, knows that the product managers are always like debating whether they should just push on the accelerator for producing more features and like not thinking about all the little problems that are emerging, or slowing down to make sure that the software is robust and will resist time. It's a difficult decision to make, and the fact that it's so difficult is the reason why developers actually spend less than 50% of their time. Now, this is a statistic, but I think it changes person on person. But really, developers spend little time actually coding. There's so many other tasks that they need to do around it to make sure that there is good synchronization in the team, that the code is not faulty, that testing reviewing all of these other tasks. And I think many developers know that this is quite frustrating, because what we like to do is to, kind of the creative side, or like making something work, not fixing something that should work but doesn't quite work, but almost. And yeah, so this is where these are the reasons why I decided to fund Ponicode. And we think that with artificial intelligence, we can come in and help on this problem. And so our ambition is to become, like we say, a coding partner, like a tool that can be with the developer every day, and help with, the little tasks where that can be a bit painful. And the goal is to increase the quality of their work, so code quality really, which in turn increases the productivity, because they can go ahead faster, and we hope also increasing their happiness, because of course if you have to fix bugs less, you're probably a bit happier in your job. And
you will have more time to be creative and to do what you like to do as a software engineer. So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, we decided to start from unit tests. We had, like, there's many areas where we can help. Refactoring, elimination of duplicated code, generation of documentation. We decided to start from unit tests because we felt like it was a very kind of pressing issue for many of the at the time potential clients that we were speaking to, and that it's a very costly thing. Many companies either choose not to test their code because they find that testing is too expensive,
or startup, when you need to do your product market fit really fast, something like that, you cut on code quality, and that can be helpful that also.
Of course, if you have to sacrifice something, often the quality is something that's the quality, you don't realize that you're sacrificing quality in that moment. You think that it's all going to be okay, but then in the moment where you need to start scaling, or it becomes evident that unit tests are one of the main ways that you can ensure that your product is robust and healthy. And so we identify this opportunity, and we really think that artificial intelligence can help in that. So we decided to use an NLP approach to code in order to address this problem. So we are literally accelerating the developer by making it possible to generate a unit test in a matter of seconds instead of, depending on the tests, it can take you 10 minutes, half an hour, etc. So,
yeah. And like more and more companies as Ponicode use AI and software engineering. There's more and more link between the two. There is more and more project for industrialize AI. So since your company is using AI to reach your goal and help developers and software engineers, can you tell us more about how you connect data and AI to software development?
Yes. So the approach that we took is to really think of code as a language. So actually that is how, the idea and the vision started. And, I credit Patrick here. So Patrick built previously a company on the understanding of natural language, based on understanding natural language. And what he thought is, well, if we're doing it on natural language, why can't we do it on machine language, applying similar techniques? And realizing that, as you say, there's many players today that are trying to do this, but it hasn't been cracked yet. There hasn't been really an artificial intelligence-based revolution, if we want to call it, in the software industry. And so the way we are trying to, like you say, link software engineering and data is by trying to apply natural language processing techniques. I think this field actually lends itself quite well also because there is quite large availability of data sets, which in other industries is not the case. It's much harder to create a data set. But if we think about all the code that is open source today, that is an amazing pool of material that you can start training models on. And so this is what we decided to, why we thought that it would be possible to start approaching such a large topic, even from a small company in Paris.
Yeah. And okay, can you tell us more about the technical challenges you face building your product? Was your lack of AI training an issue?
My lack of you mean me personally? So me personally, yes, I didn't have like a strong mathematics background, and I'd done a few like small machine learning projects in school, but yes, definitely I don't think this would have been possible if we didn't have a data scientist as part of the founding team. And it was at the beginning it was not as easy as I thought to work together, because really the fact that we came from relatively different backgrounds had an influence, and data scientists do think in different ways from developers. So yeah, this element was a little bit of a challenge, but we managed to bridge it, definitely. Sorry, what was the first part of your question? You asked, like, if you asked me about my technical knowledge of data science, but
and can you more about the technical challenge you face building your product, and what are the real technical challenge behind build the product?
Yes, so the challenge is really like you're trying to transform code into data at the end of the day, and even though code is kind of more structured than natural language, it still requires quite a lot of processing and cleaning, and this is the big challenge that we're facing, and I think many companies are addressing it in different ways. But it is the core of what we're doing. If we successfully manage to represent code as data, then we've done it. And on the other side of the technical challenges, on the more, let's say, like on the software engineering side, there is, of course, the challenge of understanding all the different types of tests that users might want to create. There's different frameworks, there's different languages, and finding one approach that can unify all of those is not a trivial challenge. So it's really a balance between what the machine learning can do and what you can do programmatically. And it's not always easy to choose. Sometimes we have different intuitions. For me, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to understand when something is achievable with data science easily and when it isn't. Sometimes I make wrong assumptions on that. I'm like, oh yeah, the science team could definitely do that, and then they tell me it's a bit harder than I think. And in reverse, sometimes I'm like, it's a no-brainer, we should address this with just an algorithm programmatically, and they're like, no, we can do like 3 times like as fast and as well by taking an AI approach. So it's really a balance, and we're learning to dance and synchronize with it.
All right, thank you. And how did you achieve to work with the co-founder with such, like you said before, it was a bit harder at first. And how did you achieve to work with the co-founders with such different background to build your MVP?
But the answer is quite simple. We all believed in the project, so that's how we made it work. We were all convinced that we wanted to do, that we could do something, and we were really motivated to work hard to make it work. So I'm not going to say that at the beginning it was super easy. There were definitely moments of when there are differences. There are differences in communication. We also spend a lot of time together working on difficult things. So that it makes clashes easy, and it highlights those differences. One example is I think actually. So we have 2, Simon and I are developers, and come from like our background is learning coding, not at a university, but just a coding school, a programming school. And on the other side, we had Edmund, who has, he has very strict mathematical training. Like it's a very, a university background, and even there the approaches were different. But actually, it was a big benefit because we were able to balance out and a bit of prototyping, a bit of theory, and the mix of the two was very positive. But yeah, what kept us together was division. We want to make this work, we need to work together, and we need to like learn from each other and share the knowledge and make sure that they, you can understand my point of view and I can understand yours and all of this.
When you have the same vision and the same objective, having about different background, that maybe even motivation and a plus.
It's a blessing. I honestly don't think that if you had taken 3 people that came exactly from the same experiences, you would have had, we would have the product that we have today. Maybe we would have done something in another direction, but I think it was a blessing to kind of like fight over things at the beginning. It's not really fighting, but to have diverging opinions sometimes.
Definitely. We have a question from Jan. You said before that you choose to focus on unit testing because it was maybe the things that the clients was waiting the most. Why did you choose between the all languages, JavaScript or TypeScript and Python as your language for unit testing for Ponicode or for your docstring generation? Is it because of their popularity or their compatibility with AI solutions?
Yes, no, it's a matter of popularity. So the most commonly used language is actually Java, but Java doesn't have as much of a presence online, in a sense. Like there's less of a community around Java, and JavaScript on the other side, which is what we started from, does have that. So there is so many blogs. People are really passionate about JavaScript. So we thought, as the second most popular language, it was a really good place to start. It allowed us to address also kind of individual developers, whilst Java is a language more used within corporate circle, and so it was a good way to start. We also, JavaScript is also an untyped language, which presents some challenges that are quite different from typed languages, that we felt, we need to start from something, we need to be aware of these challenges. And so that helped us, and then pairing it with TypeScript, which on the other side is typed, created the final balance and where we are now. And on the Python side, we let's say we didn't want to neglect data scientists. We know that there isn't as much testing on the data science side today. It's less, I guess, like the discourse around testing is maybe less evolved, but we think that it could be really useful for many companies to have a stronger testing pipeline. But today, they're not ready to bear the costs of actually investing the time of data scientists to do the testing. So we wanted to make Ponicode available for data scientists. Also, because we wanted to use it within the team itself. Our code bases are incidentally in TypeScript and Python, and so we thought that this was a great way to realize whether we were going in the right direction.
Yeah, you are your first users.
Yeah.
We talk a lot of AI and and how do you work out now the differences between software engineers and data scientists and reconcile their different approaches around the same goal?
But I think that in a sense it's the same as what I said before. Like the vision is what keeps us together. We need to when we talk about the teams at Ponicode, for us it's important that we are one team in the sense of we're all building the same product. Yeah. And we all have the same vision. We believe that we can achieve certain things. Then in the practice, of course, in develop, even just in a matter of processes and how you work in day to day, it's a little bit different. The fact that we have 2 separate code bases is one of the ways that you make sure that there isn't too much of a conflict. Of course, there are 2 different code bases just because the type of tools that we need are different. And so we've got the data science side with some very specific libraries, some internal libraries used specifically for code, and then the software engineering part, we have to take care of everything that the user sees. We try to do a lot of knowledge sharing. I think this is one of the things that we realized helped. At the beginning, we didn't have as much of it, but we realized that, for example, we do every week we have half an hour of we call it machine learning inspiration at the beginning, and then it became sometimes it's machine learning and sometimes it's developer inspiration. So there is a member of the team that takes up a topic and presents it very, in kind of like layman's terms to the whole team, with the purpose of bridging this gap and also of really inspiring. So at the beginning, we wanted to make sure that developers could take from data scientists and come up with new ideas, because we maybe know what we would like from the product more, because at the beginning when we were in JavaScript, we were the end users of the product, but the data scientists had all this knowledge about all the possible things that could be done that they wanted to share with us. I think this is really, really important, and we try to do the same for processes that we feel like work well within the data science team or with the dev team, and we share them. We also work, this is a bit more organizational, but like we work in feature teams a lot of the time. So it means that in a team, there is a mix of data scientists and developers, and often we have to cooperate really on the same feature to make it work end to end. And I think this creates a bit of cohesion, and
Thank you. Now we talk a lot of what needs developers, and what do you think software engineers are expecting when it comes to developers tools? Like for the, not right now, but in the 4 or 5 years coming.
People don't necessarily know what they expect or what they want. I think today there are loads of tools available to developers. It's almost almost too many. You can't know every possible tool, and a lot of the tools require some sort of specific knowledge. They require some like learning time, and not everybody is interested in doing this. I think I speak personally when I say I think people want something easy, want something that doesn't try to do the work for them, especially not those things that are the reason why we signed up for the job. I want to do my own my own thinking about the topics that really interest me, like all the kind of the logic part. But what they want is ease. What I personally want is ease, and I would like tools that allow me, without thinking, to speed up all the side things I need to do during my day, so that I can gain a little bit of more time to focus on coding, to take chunks of hours to just do that and create features. Then this question at the end of the day is what we're trying to answer at Ponicode. It's the $1 million question. We are still trying to get to our product market fit, and so we're trying to answer this question. Nobody knows exactly what they want, but I think ease is very important, and help on all the things that you don't really want to do.
Be focused. Tools will allow you to be focused on the most exciting part of your work, the most creative part of your work. Okay, thanks. And you, as you said, there is a lot of tools right now. What do we notice such a big wave of changes in the developer tools industry at the moment? Why do we notice? Sorry.
But I think there's a big wave of trying to change, but really there hasn't been a big change, like a big industrialization, like AI-based industrialization. I believe in the software industry in the past, 10 years. We still code in the same way. Of course, we make some processes leaner. We use more tools, but there hasn't been a game changer yet. Which is why I think, I don't think we're the only ones that realize this, and I think there is a bit of movement because people are realizing there's really something to be done. Why it has not been done yet? It's such a big opportunity. We need to, software engineering is going to be so crucial for going into the future. It's going to be essential for so many companies. Why can't we make it more streamlined, more easy? And so I think that's why there is a bit, lots of people are trying to achieve this.
It's almost like code needs to do this digital transformation and improve and do.
Yeah, but I strangely, I don't think there are many players that do try to take this radical approach of AI is going to provide the answer. There's still a lot of just small tools. They're kind of like small increments of change, different tools that you're supposed to integrate together to make a bigger thing. And what we're trying to bring is a bit more of a almost holistic approach. It should be one, with AI, you can address so many problems at the same time. And yeah, so there's not many companies that are trying to do that, I believe.
What are the challenges ahead for Ponicode in 2021? Like, what's the goal this year?
The goal this year, is to scale our revenue, really, which will, and overall, consolidate our go-to-market, which means ensuring that we have a good product market fit. It means really working with partners, clients to consolidate our product. But yes, our go-to-market to 2021 is go-to-market for us, and and in order to do this, though, there is another challenge that we have. In order to do all of these things, we need a good team, and a good team requires having talents, people that are interested, are motivated, and share our vision and share our passion. And so yeah, I would say I would put this almost as the first challenge of 2021 for us, because without a good team, you don't get anywhere.
Yeah, and my purpose is to find you the good talent, so I will try to help you in this challenge.
Exactly. No, yeah, we've been doing well so far, but.
Thank you, Benedetta, for all your answer. We almost finished, but if anybody have some question, if you have any question, any things to ask to Benedetta, or yeah. We have a question from Jan. Jan asks, what is the biggest challenge in creating AI for code?
It's a big question, I guess. It's like I said before, it's really how then you sync code as data, and what approach do you take to transform that code to data? How do you it's in a sense a lot of feature engineering, but how do you go from interpreting what the code means to what you want? There is a challenge of understanding and a challenge of generation. It's one thing to understand what a function does, and it's another thing to understand how you want to write a similar function, or how do you want to write a test for it? How do you call this, this function? So it's, there are several steps in going from from understanding to the end product, which is actively help the developer. So I'd say, yeah, this is the challenge.
Yeah. And the approach will be very different between an AI for unit testing and one to generate documentation. It's not, I guess it's not the same search engine, that you need to focus on different constraints, something like that.
There's definitely some points that are in common, which is why we see all of these, these ways of using the life of developers as something achievable within the same realm. But yes, there are definitely differences in, the specific models that you choose. There are some differences in the implementation then, and in what you in the output that you want. The understanding of is the same, but then in the output, how do you arrive to either writing a unit test or writing documentation? It's very different.
One of the challenges for 2021 for Ponicode is talent. So what kind of background are you looking for? Which of skills are most important for people who are listening to us? If someone wants to join Ponicode, what did he need to have done, and to do, and to be?
I think what is, rather than what they have done before, it's what they want to do. It's really, I think the main thing that we look at is, are they going to enjoy working on a project where you're trying to do something that hasn't been done before, where there is not as much guidance, that requires you to come up with ideas and really participate, not just in execution mode. We can't just look for technical skills only. You can be the greatest engineer, but unfortunately we are not always in a position to say, okay, we just, the whole engineering team, just execute all these things. We need input, and in order to have input, we need people that believe in what we can do. And at the end of the day, I'm talking about the tech team specifically here, but we're building a product for developers and data scientists. So it's rare. I think it's quite a privileged position to work on, for developers to work on a product that they are the user of. But this also requires wanting to challenge themselves and like to put their opinion on the line, to say this is what, to really believe that you'd want a product like this.
Yeah. And I think it's quite empowering to work on a technology which will change the way how you work, and it will change you work. It's quite nice to work on that.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Is there any other question? Oh, yeah, on the chat from Antoine. He says unit testing is great for AQ, but I do think that there is a bigger challenge in functional tests and integration tests. For instance, placing an order also implies action in warehouse management. Reserve the order quantity, for instance. That may involve production. That may manufacture more product to be sent to the warehouse.
True. Yeah, completely right. I mean, there's a big debate in the, when we talk about testing, which ones are the most important tests. Unit tests are, we put them at the base of the famous testing pyramid. You need a lot of unit tests, and yeah, so it was a debate. Should we start from unit tests, integration tests, functional? I think unit tests are kind of the first step. You can say, like, when you finish coding a function, you can immediately write your unit test, or you can even take a TDD approach and kind of do the opposite. What we felt was closer to the code and the moment the developer codes, and so we felt like it was a challenge that we could address first. It was more intuitive for us which direction to go in, but definitely it's one of the topics that we have on the table that we will have to get into integration and more functional tests.
Thank you.
But so one of the considerations is that nobody was doing unit tests. Nobody was trying to address the problem of how long unit tests take. Especially on the side of functional tests, I think there are lots of tools that you can use, kind of like Click and record, and that really make life easier. While on the unit test side, it was just really only down to the individual developer.
Thank you for your answer. Is there any more question? No, maybe Benedetta, do you want to add some advice or things like that to people who want to like you be a founder, to people who want to change the way of their work, like?
But no, I don't know. I think, but most importantly, if we are available to, for questions. Like if you even are just curious about what we do at Ponicode, or want to chat, if you're in Paris and want to, come for lunch, it's all things that we can do. And so I think, maybe somewhere there is my email. It's benedetta@ponicode.com. But if you've got questions, feel free to contact us.
Yeah, and I think everyone, every software engineer can access to the live product of Ponicode unit testing, and they can use it. They can try it and give you some feedback on it.
Yes, we love feedback. So yeah, absolutely. Go try Ponicode and we think and how you would improve it.
Go try it. How easy is to integration Ponicode in a CI tool like GitLab?
So today we're focusing mostly on Ponicode for IDE, so for your software and for your development environment. But it is in the roadmap to have an integration with the CI, so that of course, usually in the CI, what you do is run your tests rather than generating them. And what we are going towards is generating the tests for the portions of code that don't happen. So it's in the roadmap. It's not today available to test, but it will come. Watch this space. It will come.
Thanks. All right. Is there any question? Maybe Marie? No? Okay. So I think we're okay. I will let Marie end the webinar and tell you how to get us back on YouTube.
Fantastic.
Yes, so thank you, Benedetta. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. You will receive right at the end, when I press the end the event button, the replay. And we will, I think, tomorrow, or if tomorrow's Friday, so maybe Monday, we will put the video on our YouTube channel. And it will probably, I don't know, Benedetta, if you have a YouTube channel at Ponicode or not.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do? Okay, perfect. So I will send you the video and then you can upload it on your channel as well.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone. If there is no, I think there is something on the chat. It's just thank you for the info. Okay, perfect. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Benedetta. And great day to everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.